What's up, guys? Today we're gonna go for a ride on what's kind of an unseasonably cold Utah morning, and we're gonna talk about 5 things that I wish I would have done differently back when I bought my first motorcycle. This isn't saying this is how you have to get into riding. These 5 things are simply just if I could go back in time and do the whole thing all over again. These are just some things that I would do different, some hard lessons that were learned. Let's do it. Alright, so a lot of, if not all of these 5 things kind of play off each other, and I think you'll kind of start to see that as we go, but let's get started. Alright, so the first thing I would do differently back when I was getting my first motorcycle and getting into riding is I would have taken an MSF course before I ever bought a motorcycle. What is this, bruh? So when I got my first street bike, I was 21, and I was not someone that grew up riding motorcycles. I didn't have family that ride. I didn't grow up on dirt bikes or anything like that. So I was super inexperienced. And instead, I kind of learned from some friends how to ride. And unfortunately, they were not the best teachers. They also didn't know a ton about what they were doing, to be honest. I always say I didn't really get taught how to ride by them. I got taught how to, I guess, just pull in the clutch, give the throttle a bunch of gas, and then dump it and get going. I got taught how to basically launch start a motorcycle, and that was kind of the extent of riding technique that I was taught. I guess they would try and give me some other pointers here and there, but some of that stuff they were telling me didn't even make sense. It was just the blind leading the blind. They didn't know anything and I didn't know any better. So I developed a lot of bad habits that I had to unlearn. You know, for some reason I would hardly ever use my front brake. I swear one of them told me to like only use the front brake in emergencies, so I would never be using the front brake, which is wild. I don't remember which one of them told me to do that, but that was something that they told me. They didn't really teach me how to shift or downshift properly. They didn't teach me anything about lane positioning or anything, so I just picked up a lot of really bad habits that I had to unlearn as I went forward. Luckily, as I started riding more, I developed more of a passion for it, and so I would spend a lot of time researching stuff, watching a ton of YouTube videos from different people just about how to be a much safer and a much better rider. So yeah, that's the first thing that I would do different now. Is if I could go back in time, I would for sure take an MSF beginning rider's course, and it would have made getting my license easier and all that stuff too. So yeah, if you're getting into riding or thinking about getting into riding, I would for sure take an MSF course to start out with. Alright, so the second thing I would do differently, and this kind of ties into that first thing, but the second thing I would do differently is I would be way more selective about who I rode with and who I took advice from. I mean, we should all be selective about who we take advice from in general anyway. But we should be especially careful about taking riding advice from people, particularly if it seems like they're not being safe and they don't really know what they're doing. So yeah, be careful about who you take advice from, but also be careful about who you go on rides with. You know, back when I first got into riding, if I met somebody that had a motorcycle, I would just immediately be down to be like, yeah, let's go for a ride together, dude. Like, oh, you're a new rider as well? Cool, me too. Yeah, let's go rip it. And that can put yourself in some really unsafe situations. Yeah, you don't want to ride with people who take things way too far, or they ride well beyond your comfort limits, and they don't really respect your level of comfortability. You don't want to ride with people who are constantly trying to push you to keep up or go faster. Ride your own ride, like they always say. So yeah, that's one thing I would do different, especially when I was first getting into riding motorcycles, is be a little more selective about the people that I was riding with and the people that I was learning from. And I use the term learning loosely there. People I was leering from. Alright, so the third thing kind of piggybacks off of the second thing a little bit, but then it also kind of ties into my last 2 points about selecting your first motorcycle. Anyway, that third thing is don't let other people pressure you. So when it comes to actually riding, don't let other people pressure you to go beyond your abilities or beyond your level of comfort. But also when choosing your first motorcycle, don't let other people pressure you on what to get. So what happened with me was I basically got pressured into getting a type of motorcycle that I honestly had no desire to get. I had a bunch of buddies that wanted me to get a dirt bike, and I really wanted to get a sport bike. Nothing crazy either. I think I wanted like a Ninja 300 or something like that. So it would have been a really good beginner bike as far as sport bikes go. But they all wanted me to get a dirt bike. So somehow I decided to compromise with them and myself, I guess. And I got a Enduro. I got a KLR 650. Which, don't get me wrong, KLR 650s are cool bikes. And I would for sure appreciate them more now than I did back then. But at the time, it was not a good fit for me. I would go off-road with them while they all had their dirt bikes, and then I would struggle to keep up because, like I said before, I have no riding experience, no dirt riding experience, and I'm trying to ride this 500-pound bike, trying to keep up with all these experienced riders on dirt bikes, and it did not go super well. And then when I would ride on the street, it just didn't seem all that fun on the street to me. So it just wasn't what I wanted to do, wasn't what I wanted to ride. And again, not to crap on the KLR 650, again, because they are badass bikes, but it just felt like I was getting the worst of both worlds. I was getting the worst of on the street riding and the worst of dirt riding. And so what this might mean for you if you're looking to get your first motorcycle is, if all your bros all have sport bikes but you really want a Harley, don't be afraid to be different and get a Harley. If all your buds ride Harleys and cruisers and tell you that only Harleys are real bikes, but you really want to get a sport bike, get a sport bike, dude. I'm not saying you need to go get a Gixxer 1000 or Hayabusa or H2 or something as your first bike, but you know, get the style of bike that you want. Don't let other people pressure you into getting a different kind of motorcycle. Don't let them pressure you into getting too big of a motorcycle. Helmet is fogging up like crazy. Don't let social media pressure you either. I know some bikes are more trendy than others, but don't be afraid to get what you want to get. Alright, my fourth thing that I would do different, and this has to do with selecting your first motorcycle, buying your first motorcycle. Fourth thing I would do different is budget for gear beforehand. If I were to do it all over again, I wouldn't just get the cheapest helmet at the dealership and then call it good, not get anything else. I know people get their feelings hurt for whatever reason on the internet when you suggest that wearing helmet and gloves and good shoes might be a good idea, but I would just budget for a good helmet, try a few helmets on, do some research about the safety specs on them. You know, if you're planning on not wearing any gear while you're riding, then fine, whatever, but if you're wanting to wear helmet and gear while you ride, I would suggest getting that stuff up front, because it's just harder to do retroactively. And then if you start riding and you start learning without wearing gear, it becomes harder to build a habit of riding in gear once you have it. Alright, so then the last thing I think I would do, and again this ties into selecting your first motorcycle, is I would just consider a wide variety of bikes. So if you want to get a sport bike, that's great. You want to get a cruiser, a Harley, that's great. If you've done research and you think you know the best beginner bike, then awesome, that's perfect. I'm just saying, go sit on quite a few bikes, make sure they feel comfortable. If you've locked in on a Ninja 650 to start out on or whatever, that's awesome. Just go sit on it in person, make sure it feels good, but sit on a comparable bike and make sure there's not things that you like better about it. You know, if you're locked in on a Sportster or something, go sit on a Sportster, and then maybe go sit on like a Yamaha Bolt or Indian Scout or something like that. Just don't pigeonhole yourself into only considering one type of bike, just because you don't want to miss out, especially when you're starting out. There are a lot of great bikes out there. They're all fun, doesn't matter what they are. I would just consider a wide variety of motorcycles. And also, I'll add one kind of like bonus thing here at the end too, is just know that your first bike It's probably not going to be your last bike or your only bike. You're going to grow as a rider, as a person. Your tastes are going to change. So don't think you got to get everything perfect on the first motorcycle, or don't think you got to for sure go big right out of the gates because you want to grow into it. It's okay to start out on something small. You don't have to start on a road glide with zero riding experience because that's really what you envision down the line. So yeah, I'd say just consider a wide variety of motorcycles is all. But anyway, I think that's it for today's video. If you're new to the channel, my name is Austin. I go by AG2 Wheels here on YouTube. I like making motorcycle videos, bike reviews, helmet reviews, talking about random motorcycling topics. So if you find that stuff interesting and wanted to hit the like or the subscribe button, that would be awesome. But until the next one, guys, peace out.